Welcome to Fishbone Forensics, the series where supply chain chaos meets root cause clarity. If you're a warehouse leader who's tired of playing whack-a-mole with recurring issues like damaged products, rising labor costs, or missed distribution budgets, you're in the right spot. Because this isn't just another warehouse webinar. This is where we roll up our sleeves and go deep. Fishbone Forensics is your go-to video series for solving real problems behind the most common operational headaches. We'll take a methodical, no-fluff approach to continuous improvement, breaking down big challenges into manageable pieces using the tried-and-true fishbone diagram, also known as the Ishikawa or cause and effect diagram. If you've never used one, here's the gist. Think of it as your operational X-ray. A fishbone diagram helps teams visually map out all the possible root causes of a specific problem by sorting them into 6 key categories that every warehouse depends on. The first is people, your frontline team, supervisors, temps, and leadership. Are the right people in the right roles? Are they trained, engaged, and set up for success? The next is equipment, from forklifts and conveyors to handheld scanners. Is outdated or malfunctioning equipment slowing you down, or worse, causing damage or injuries? The next is process, the step-by-step flow of work. Are there bottlenecks, inefficiencies, or unnecessary complexity baked into how tasks get done? Number 4 is environment, the physical conditions on the floor or conditions outside of the control of the operation or company. Next is management, the decisions, leadership styles, KPIs, and communication from the top. Are goals clear? Are priorities aligned? Are decisions data informed? And lastly, but certainly not least, is tools. Your systems, your tech stack, your SOPs and resources. From systems to training guides, are your tools actually helping or are they just getting in the way? Each episode will focus on one of these categories, but we're not just listing causes, we're investigating the underlying why with boots on the floor realism and evidence-backed analysis. We're going to tackle issues like high overtime costs, poor labor productivity, failed system implementations, high turnover, storage capacity problems, missed budgets. In each case, we won't stop at symptoms. We'll keep digging until we reach the root causes and give you practical ways to take action. So why does this matter? Because in warehouse operations, small problems don't stay small for long. Every lost minute, every damaged pallet, and every preventable turnover adds up to cost, to chaos, and to customer dissatisfaction. And if you're stuck applying quick fixes to the same recurring issues, you're not improving, you're just treading water. And that's where continuous improvement comes in. Continuous improvement isn't just about overhauling everything overnight. It's about identifying the true cause of problems, solving them at the root, and building a culture that keeps getting better over time. So whether you're running a 100,000 square foot facility or managing a nationwide network, Fishbone Forensics is built to help you shift from reactive firefighting to proactive problem solving. So are you ready to become a root cause detective? Subscribe, follow, and stay tuned, because the first breakdown starts right now. Welcome to Fishbone Forensics. For our inaugural episode, we're going to start off with a classic pain point that quietly eats margins, disrupts workflows, and torpedoes customer satisfaction, and that's product damage. When product damage shows up, it's tempting to focus on individual actions. Maybe someone didn't handle a load correctly or a process was skipped. But before we assume it's a one-off mistake, let's zoom out and look at the broader people factors that influence behavior every day. Because here's the deal. Even the best tech and tightest processes can't prevent damage if your team isn't set up for success. So in this episode, we're going to peel back the layers on what people-driven product damage really looks like, how to spot it, why it's happening, and how to build a warehouse culture that puts precision before panic. Because most damage doesn't come from bad luck, it comes from habits, gaps, and invisible pressure. Now, in our original Fishbone Friday series, we isolated 3 potential root causes for people-driven product damage, and we're going to review each of them today. They were insufficient training on how to properly stack orders, inadequate training on product handling, and insufficient pallet wrapping. So let's break each of these down further. We're going to start with insufficient training on how to properly stack orders, one of the most common and preventable people-driven causes of product damage. It sounds basic, but this one issue creates a ripple effect across your entire warehouse. When new hires are rushed through onboarding or seasonal operators are expected to just know the best way to stack mixed SKUs, things go wrong fast. top-heavy loads, crushed bottom layers, unstable pallets, and before long, you've got damaged goods, delayed shipments, and frustrated customers. But here's the kicker. Most stacking mistakes aren't about laziness or carelessness. They're about assumptions. Operators assume they're doing it right. Supervisors assume someone else taught them. And managers, they assume damage is part of the game. Proper stacking isn't intuitive, especially when you're dealing with mixed-size cases, fragile items, fast-paced picking environments, and equipment with different handling capabilities. But here's a pro tip. Don't rely on tribal knowledge. Build visual, hands-on, repeatable training that covers weight distribution, label visibility, pallet footprint utilization, how to handle exceptions, and when and how to provide feedback with regards to how items are situated along the pick path. And reinforce it regularly, because what gets reinforced gets remembered. If you want to reduce product damage at the root, start by making sure your team doesn't just do the job, but understands why it matters and how to do it right. Next up on our list of people-driven causes of product damage is inadequate training on product handling. Not stacking, handling. Because how you move product from point A to point B can be the difference between a satisfied customer and a shrink report you don't want to have to explain. Every warehouse handles a variety of SKUs, fragile items, liquids, odd shapes, top load only, or things that require special care. But unless your training is just as nuanced, you're setting your team up to fail. Too often, product handling is treated like common sense. But unless you've shown people what good handling looks like clearly, consistently, and contextually, you're going to see damage where it could have been avoided. Some examples: grabbing cases by the corners and ripping packaging, dragging instead of lifting, using the wrong type of equipment for the product, or ignoring handle with care instructions because no one explained what that actually means in practice. And this isn't just about operators, it's about the entire training culture. So some things to ask yourself include, is your team trained on why certain products are high risk? Are temp workers getting rushed through the basics with zero reinforcement? Do you have product-specific handling guidance embedded into your SOPs, or is it buried in a binder that nobody touches? Here's another pro tip. Start small. Identify your top 10 most frequently damaged products and create a quick hit training module around how to handle each one of them. You can also do this for specific product groups if there are some groups of items more prone than others. Use photos, short videos, and real-world examples. Better yet, make it part of your daily huddles or pre-shift refreshers. Because when your people know how to handle products with care and they've been trained to do it well, you'll see damage drop, accountability rise, and your warehouse floor run a whole lot smoother. All right, time to talk about one of the most overlooked but wildly impactful causes of product damage. This is our third one, and that's insufficient pallet wrapping. Sounds simple, right? Wrap the load, send it on its way. But here's the thing. Sloppy, inconsistent, or rushed pallet wrapping is the silent saboteur. It looks fine when it leaves the dock, until it hits a sharp corner, takes a hard stop, or gets stacked in transit, and then damage shows up. And yes, this is still a people issue. Because even with the best stretch wrap or semi-auto wrappers, it all comes down to how the pallet is wrapped, how much wrap is used, and whether the person doing it actually knows what a properly secured load looks like. Here are some of the more common missteps. Not wrapping low enough to anchor the load to the pallet. Using too few revolutions, especially on heavier or uneven loads. Wrapping too loosely or too tight and crushing the outer boxes. Skipping wrap altogether when rushed or short-staffed. And let's be real, some team members have never been properly trained on this. Others may have picked it up from someone who also didn't know. It's a classic case of this is always how we've done it, until you start tracking the damage and realize it's costing you. And here's another pro tip. Make proper wrapping technique part of your onboarding and routine audits. Better yet, define clear wrapping standards. Things like minimum number of wrap revolutions based on load type, or visible indicators of acceptable tension and coverage. Anchoring rules. For example, always wrap at least 2 inches below the pallet deck. It's not about micromanaging, it's about standardizing quality, because if a pallet can't survive the trip to its destination, your team is working hard just to lose money on the back end. And that's a people problem worth solving. So there you have it. Product damage might show up as a busted box or a broken pallet, but when you trace it back, the root causes sometimes come down to the people side of the operation. Now let's recap what we covered today. Insufficient training on how to properly stack orders leads to unstable pallets and crushed product. Inadequate product handling Training causes avoidable breakage, especially with fragile or specialty SKUs. And sufficient pallet wrapping, a small detail, can undo all your hard work the second the load starts moving. The big takeaway, your team doesn't wake up wanting to damage product. These issues are rarely about carelessness. They're about gaps in knowledge, consistency, and support. As a leader, closing these gaps is one of the most powerful ways to reduce waste, improve performance, and create a culture of ownership. In our next episode, we're going to shift gears and dig into the equipment side of product damage, faulty forklifts, picking hooks, suboptimal racking, and more. Because continuous improvement doesn't just stop at one category. It's about seeing the full picture and solving problems at the root. I'm Rob, your host and VP of Customer Success here at Syncontext Supply Chain, and this has been Fishbone Forensics. Hit subscribe, follow the series, and we'll see you in the next breakdown.